Hey guys, thanks for joining me today. I have recently finished my Little Life reading vlog. I'm done, I've conquered it, and it is time to move on to my next reading project. So, I've got a notebook and I've got my laptop, and we're going to be going through my Goodreads read books, seeing how many books I have read that are part of a series, and I have yet to finish the series. The next month and a half, I want to make some progress on those because soon enough, fall will be here. I'm going to want to read seasonal books. I'm going to want to read some spooky books for Halloween. So we're going to go through my Goodreads list. Let's do this. Now, I have been using Goodreads for a few years. However, I did include a lot of books I read in childhood. So some of the series I'm not going to keep track of just because I'm not going to want to continue them, obviously. I'm going to just write down the books specifically that there is a possibility that I will want to continue them. Okay, here we are. We've got A Little Life. I feel so good that I have read that book now. Okay, so here's the first one. We have Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo, which I liked a lot more than I thought I was going to. And I do actually own somewhere on the bookshelf the second book. I think it's called Hellbent, so I am going to continue this one. Write that down. And then we have Divine Rivals. 100% yes. I read 2 or 3 chapters of that book, and then before I had even finished it, I had already purchased the second book because I knew I was going to want to continue. I think it's called Ruthless Vows, but I'll just put Divine Rivals. Okay. Light Lark. So here we have several several books that are the first in the series. Light Lark was more like a 2.5-star read for me. I bumped it up to 3 because I really liked the last like 10% of the book. I struggled heavily with the first 90%. So I think I'm okay letting that one go. Oh my gosh, what is my AC doing? Hold on. Next we have Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone. I enjoyed that for what it was. I'm not usually big on murder mysteries. It was a fast, interesting, pretty engaging read. I don't feel any need to continue though. Oh, we come to Throne of Glass. Oh dear. So, I'm not going to go on a big spiel because I went on a rant about this book when I read it a bit. One of my friends just read book, I think 5 and 6, and gave it like 4 and 5 stars. And she tells me it gets better, just keep going, give it a try. But this one I also bumped up to 3 stars. I just found the major character like so annoying, but I'm gonna give it a shot. It's a possibility, okay? Maybe book 2 will like blow me away. I don't know. Okay, what do we have next? Let's keep looking. Less. Arthur Less, that was, I think, a Pulitzer Prize winning book. It was fine. I don't want to continue. And then we have The Unlikely Pilgrimage of Harold Fry. I gave that 4 stars. I did very much enjoy it. It was a sweet story. I think the second book focuses on the character of Queenie, which is the person that he is on his pilgrimage to go see. But I also feel like the book ended like well. It wasn't like a cliffhanger, so I don't think I want to continue that either. Kiki's Delivery Service. Yes. Actually, I have this one pre-ordered already because the English translation of the second book just got released, or it's being released in a few days. So I have that pre-ordered. I am so looking forward to reading that. That was such a good, cozy slice of life book. Thursday Murder Club. Did I say Murdered Club? I meant Murder Club. No. Nope. It's one of those books where people loved it so much and I read it and I was like wondering if we had read the same book. I love that the author writes about these older characters. I read so much fantasy, so inevitably I end up reading about like 16-year-olds half the time. I love the premise. I love the idea, but I did not like the execution. So I'm going to let that one go too. Red Rising series. I read the first 6. I think Red God is book number 7. It has not been released. I think we were told it was going to be released this summer, but I think the author recently came out and said there's no release date because he's still editing. So once that comes out, absolutely. Hopefully it will be soon before I lose more and more of my memory of what happened in it. Oh, Ember in the Ashes, you're all done. Beartown, amazing. I wish there was another Beartown to read. So good, so good. So good. Okay, we've got Anatomy, a love story. No, that one felt way too YA for me when I read it, so I don't want to read that, which is a shame because it's a duology and I love duologies. But oh, we've got You. Yeah, when I read that, I was a bit nervous because I thought it was going to be kind of the typical glorifying stalking. He was legitimately creepy. I think his name was Joe. And it was not like, oh, he's so sweet, he's like following me. It was like, you're gonna die type of thing. So yes, I would like to continue that one. Casino Royale, no. I hated, 1 star, I hated that book so much. Wonder was very young. That was like more of a middle grade book. It was sweet. It was, I think, an important book. If I read it when I was in middle school, I would have loved it, but it feels very young. So while I appreciate that book, I'm not feeling any need to continue. Oh, Cassandra Clare. This kind of makes me sad because in middle and high school, Cassandra Clare was huge for me. I read, I think I've read like 4 of her series. I reread several of her series when I was younger. I was so invested in Jason Clary. But when I read Chain of Gold, which is the most recent book of hers I've read, some of that teenage angst that I think I was so fond of as a teenager, I was not fond of as an adult. So as much as it pains me to admit, I think I'm gonna have to let that one go. The Diviners, however, I'm gonna write down because I did have some issues with that book as far as feeling young, but I was interested in enough of the book and the world and the characters and the magic to want to continue, so I'm gonna write that one down. City of Brass, no, I didn't like that one very much. Guilty Pleasures, Anita Blake, of which there are like 30, probably more than 30. I loved the first few chapters of that book and I was so excited because I'm like, I can keep reading these forever, and it took a very sharp turn. I'll write it down just in case. Just because I'm writing it down doesn't mean I'm definitely going to keep continuing. It's just these are the ones that there's the possibility there. The Outsider, wow, I gave that 5 stars. I like that one a lot, and I do own Holly, which I can't remember if that's like the 2nd book in the series or the 3rd, but either way, I would like to continue. Gunslinger, absolutely. I'm not going to write that down though because I do physically own those books. They're in storage, so I don't want to repurchase them. So I'm not going to write that down, even though I want to. Can we just pause on An Ocean of Minutes? I've never heard anyone talk about that book. 5 stars, amazing, loved it. A Burning, also excellent. Oh, William by Elizabeth Strout, I liked a lot. You can read this series, obviously, as you can see, out of order. I'm not feeling a strong need to keep going though. I would like to read more of her stuff, but it doesn't specifically have to be this series, so I'm not going to write it down. The Hazelwood, I had such high hopes for, and it just did not, as well as, I'm going to make people mad. Oh my gosh, look at the Witcher ratings. 2 stars, 2 stars, 2 stars, 3 stars, 3 stars, 3 stars. Yeah, I feel like sometimes I'd like to reread that and see if I still feel the same. I enjoyed things about that series. I liked some of the characters. I liked the way time passed in the book. I liked the way you kind of jump different places. You were always meeting like a new king. There were lots of interesting creatures, but the way that women's bodies were like the breasts of every female character, the in-depth description, that got so tiring. It was like a barmaid. She could be in 3 sentences, and in 2 sentences he would be describing her breasts. I was just like, I've read too many fantasy books written by men that do that to all the female characters, and I just was not in the mood. Good things and bad things about that series. So Stalking Jack the Ripper, no, I didn't really like that, which is unfortunate because I did physically own all those books and I ended up unhauling them. So that one's a no. Gilded Cage, yes, I did like that one, which is another series that I've never heard anyone talk about. I think that was set in Britain. It was like a alternate universe of this world where there's like a ruling class and there's this like peasant class. And I think the ruling class has control of the magic, and the peasant class, you have to work, what is it, like 10 years for the ruling class? Something like that, or you're killed? I don't remember. Once Upon a Broken Heart. Stephanie Garber's first series, the first book, I loved so much. The second book I liked, and then the third book I was just kind of like, eh. This one I started at eh. I would also have to start from scratch because I don't remember what happened in book 1. This is such a good book. It Ends With Us. Yes, I would like to finish that. I think it's only a duology. I do have the second book already, so I wouldn't have to go out and buy it. People were really divisive on that. You either loved it or hated it. I really liked the first book. I know people claim that it like romanticized abuse. I didn't think that it did. I thought it showed that it was ugly and scary and super unhealthy, but people didn't feel that way. I don't know. Neon Gods. You can see from my rating, I also didn't like that book very much. However, I have purchased, I didn't realize at the time, I don't think I bought it. I think I got it from like a free little library. It's the same author. It's in that series. At the time, I was just like, oh, it's a mythology retelling. Awesome. And then I got it home and I realized it was that author. I'm going to give it a shot because maybe the first one just wasn't for me. Maybe this one will be. Pax, I loved it. It was cute. It was sweet. I love the little fox. I don't need to continue though. A Time to Kill. No. Did not like that. Jake Brigance. The movie and the book could not be more different. I think Matthew McConaughey brought like such a humanity to the character, but in the book, he is just this like cold-blooded, every cold-blooded lawyer joke that you've heard is told about him. I could not stand the character. Howl's Moving Castle? Yes. The other books I know aren't about Sophie and Hal, so I'm not quite as excited, but I do really like Diana Wynne Jones' writing, so I'm going to write it down. The Women of Troy, 100%. I think the third book is called The Voyage Home. I gave The Silence of the Girls and The Women of Troy both 5 stars. Amazing. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. People love that book. Like, that's so important to so many people. And it just, I think I'd like it more if I read it today. I'm going to write it down. I feel like I should reread that. I feel like if I did, I'd give it a higher rating, but I might be wrong. The Maid. I feel like I enjoyed that. Why did I give it 3 stars? And I feel like I liked Black Cake too. Why did I give that 3 stars? I always look back on books, I think, a bit more fondly than when I just finish reading them, when I'm like finding things to critique. I think the good stays with me sometimes more than the bad. I just wrote The Molly, The Maid. Okay. Mistborn, amazing. I know that he's written more Mistborn books, that technically the series continues, but it's like a few hundred years down the line, so it's none of the same characters. I do want to read more Brandon Sanderson, but I'm not really feeling like I need to continue specifically with that series, so I'm not going to write that. Foundryside, absolutely. I like that book a lot, especially the key, the talking key. I think he was a key. But again, I'm going to have to start from the beginning because I remember so little. Oh, C.S. Lewis, I love you so much. I probably read all of the Chronicles of Narnia books at least 20 times a piece when I was young. But Out of the Silent Planet, no. That was just heartbreaking to read that and be like, but it's C.S. Lewis and I don't like it? That shouldn't be possible. House in the Cerulean Sea, yes. Now, T.J. Klune's most recent, not his most recent book, but a book more recent than this one that I read, I think it was Under the Whispering Door, did not like at all. But this one was 4 stars, so I think I'd still like specifically these chronicles. Boy from the Woods. That's the only Harlan Coben book I've ever read, and I loved it. So yes. I see his books everywhere, like in thrift stores and stuff. And he was always just one of those like action, murder mystery type novelists where I see them all the time and I'm like, oh, that's really not for me. And I ended up finally reading one and it was fantastic. Oh gosh, 1 star. I feel so bad when I give a book 1 star. Thankfully it happens pretty rarely, but I still feel bad. Neverwhere. Huh. Number 1. Yeah, right. That's never... I've been waiting like 15 years. I actually haven't been waiting that long. That was a somewhat recent, meaning within the last few years I read that, but I was so excited to see that there was supposed to be a sequel. I haven't heard anything about it other than it had a name. It was like Sisters, something Sisters, I think, Circle of Sisters. I don't think that's ever gonna happen though. Beast of Biswick. I don't know how I ended up reading this. But I don't think I need to keep going with that. ACOTAR, yes, once it comes out, I will read it. This was, though, the lowest rated book that I gave any in that series. The others were like 4 and 5 star. I just found, was it Nessa or Nesta? Nesta. I found her so frustrating and annoying. Winter Song, I think, was just a duology. I did read both of those. Murder on the Orient Express. No. I liked Murder on the Orient Express, but Agatha Christie, I mean, man, she's written so many books. I don't, as much as I like that book, I don't really feel any desire to keep reading her books. Again, I think that's just because of the genre they typically are, but maybe I'll give some more a shot in the future. Vicious and Vengeful were both very good. I think I've read the full Chronicles of Alice series. Book of Night. Yeah, there were good and bad things about that series, but I was interested enough to want to keep reading, and we're just going to start from the beginning, because what happened? I don't know. Who knows? Wayward Son, I read that whole series. Gunmetal Gods, no, that was not for me. That was a choice in a book club I was in when I was on the East Coast with some friends, and one of my friends, he chose that one, and we have such opposite reading tastes. So he loved it, and I was like, this is terrible. That was a fun story for you guys. Sin Eater's Daughter, gosh, this is from, like, I think earlier than 2021. That's when I put it on Goodreads, but I think I had read that before then. Ishmael, no. Captive Prince, I've read the whole series. Dude, Tinkers, such a good book, Tinkers. We've Always Lived in the Castle, so good. I wish there was another Strange and Beautiful Sorrows of Ava Lavender. That was so good. But I do need to check this author's other stuff, because I love that so much. Look, 4, 5, 5, 5, 5, 4. I was having like a good reading year. The Shining, yes, but I'll get to it when I get to it. These Tudor novels, I've read probably 5 or 6 in that series. You can kind of hop however you want to with whatever characters you're following. I do like Philippa Gregory. I haven't read any historical fiction in quite a while, though. It was really big for me when I was in high school. I loved historical fiction, but I've kind of fallen out of that. Miss Peregrine's Peculiar Children. I think I read 2 or 3 books in that series. I'm not feeling any desire to keep going. Shanghai Girls. I think I read both books. I don't know if there's more than 2 books. Station 11. Amazing. Oh, this. The Toll. Oh gosh, I loved those books, and like an idiot, I stopped reading. I read a few chapters of The Toll, and I don't know why I stopped, but I did, and it's a regret. Mysterious Benedict Society. No, that's okay. This one, I don't even remember this. I think I read 2 books in this series. Again, it's a historical fiction that I did really enjoy back in the day, but The Wicked Years by Gregory Maguire. I've read a few of those, and I did not like them as much as I thought I was going to, but I think if I read them today, I would enjoy them more. But I'm not going to go out and buy any of them, because whatever I have, I think I still have some in storage, unless maybe I got rid of them. I could have unhauled those. The Looking Glass Wars, no. The Last 4 Things, no. Golden Compass, I read the 3 books. I know he has recently come out with, I think it's called Book of Dust, which is in that world. I think it's its own series, though, so that's okay. Looking Glass Wars again. We are going back. The Selection, no. I don't know why I read The Selection, but I did. Cinder. I think I read the first 4. I enjoyed them mostly at the time. I think the author was really creative with what she did, but it's definitely YA. However, I think this is the author that wrote, I can't remember the name of the book, but I loved it so much. And I let a friend borrow it and I never got it back. It's the one about the Red Queen, like her story from Alice in Wonderland. I can't remember the name. It's going to bug me. I read this whole series. Oh, Heartless. It's right there. That was so good. Wrath in the Dawn, no. I didn't like that. Black Hearts, I barely remember it. Did not like And I Darken. I think I had all 3 books in that series and I ended up unhauling them. Labyrinth Lost was fine, but no. The Red Queen, did I read that whole series? I don't know if I ever read the 4th book. But if I didn't, I'm not going to, because it's been like over 10 years, I'm sure. We've got some Ted Dekker. No. Watership Down is part of a series? Seriously? Okay. If you can hear that noise, I do apologize. They've been replacing the roof. We're going on 4 weeks now. It's been lovely. It's been a great experience. I live on the top floor, so they're right above me, and I get to listen to them like 7 hours a day. It's amazing. This, I don't remember. I feel like I'm Gandalf in Helm's Deep. I have no memory of this place. Forest of Hands and Teeth, no. Fairy tale retellings, no. Daughter of Smoke and Bone. I tried so many times to keep reading this series, and I just could never do it. His Fair Assassin, no. If He Had Been With Me, no. Glittering Court, no. These are very YA. Gilded Wolves, no. Sorcery of Thorns? Okay. I've definitely read that more recently than a lot of the other ones on here. Oh, Percy Jackson. Percy Jackson is always going to have a special place in my heart. Oh my gosh. I forgot about this series. That is so funny. It was 3 of them. That is hilarious. It was about 2 sisters who loved the same guy. And it was set in Scotland. And I think it was like a retelling of like a biblical tale. That's so funny how I had forgotten that. Inkwell. Inkwell. Inkworld. Inkwell. Paradise. Russian Concubine. I do not know what you are. Oh, Graceling. Loved Graceling. Graceling and Fire. And then I think the 3rd book was like Bitter Blue, which the first 2 were great. The 3rd one, I started to fall off. I think she has continued that series, but I don't really feel any need to kind of dive back in. I'm just going to remember the first 2 books fondly. Thirst, no. Allegiance, I don't know what you are. Heroes of Olympus, I read that whole series. Selection, that's so funny. The Winners Trilogy, I don't remember you either. Don't I have such a great memory? Valiant Hearts, don't know. Winter Song, I do remember you. You were a duology. You are a duology, and I did read both. Clash of Kingdoms. Oh, Jedi Apprentice. Oh, I Love Comes Softly. Oh my gosh. Forbidden Doors. Memories. Star Wars Jedi Apprentice and Young Jedi Knights. Loved. Loved, loved, loved. Love Comes Softly. That is so funny. I'd forgotten about that series. As well as Forbidden Doors. That's some Nancy Drew. So we are going back pretty far. Like some of these I read when I was like a wee babe. So, Tamara Pierce. Trickster's Choice and Trickster's... That was a duology. What was it? Trickster's Choice and Trickster something. I don't remember. Poison Study. I don't know. So yeah, a lot of the ones Eragon. Pause what I was saying. I read Eragon, Eldest, I think it was called Brisingr, and then I think the author, like 15 years down the line, came out with Murtagh, which is Aragon's half-brother. I loved that series when I was young, so I'd be interested. But what I was going to say is we're getting back really far, so we're going to be hitting a lot of series that I just have no interest in continuing, or as we can see, no memory of. The Bone season, I loved. I would have to start from the beginning. This should scare me into when I start series, I need to like keep going with them. This is the danger of stopping. The Forgetting, ironically enough, that was great. I remember that. I've never heard anyone talk about that book either, but I did really like that. Cirque du Freak. Love Comes Softly, Left Behind. Gosh, look at, yeah, we're going to be coming across like a lot of horse books and Star Wars books. Bloodhound, Becca Cooper. Tamara Pierce, you're so amazing. Chronicles of Narnia. So we might need to pause and just kind of stop here. Oh, The Call. I mean it now. Okay. The Call was great. It was about like these kids, once you reached a certain age, you were like zapped out of your world and you were portaled to this other place where these like dark fae lived, and you had to survive. I think it was like 24 hours, and they would try to hunt and kill you. And then if you survived that, you were safe. Yeah. And I think it was about like people would zap out of the world and then they'd come back like missing arms and legs and stuff like that. I can't remember what they called the Dark Fae. I think it started with like an S, but I really like that one. So hold on, let's count, because I think we have 28. That's plenty. Yeah, we've got 28 series. Oh goodness. That I do want to most likely continue. I'm not going to be getting through 28 books in the next month, so I'm going to have to choose maybe like the most important 5 or 6 books that I want to continue with, and we're going to have to make some progress before fall gets here. Good job, guys. We did it. Okay, if you know of these series, if you're in the middle of reading these series, or if you have any opinions on which ones I really need to make sure I continue with, or which ones it's okay to let go, let me know. But in the meantime, we're going to get started. We're going to make some progress. I'm going to pull out some of my books and get some of these series taken care of. Thank you guys very much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you in my next vlog. Bye.